Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. Today I'll be stepping outside the usual nostalgic rabbit hole that I find myself in with Pokemon, and instead be playing some Yu-Gi-Oh! On Master Duels. So, I've been playing now for about a week and a half, and originally my plan was to play a similar deck to that I played as a kid, which was a Cyber Dragon deck, which, funnily enough, they actually had in the solo mode. As I was basically exploring all the current day decks and learning how modern day Yu-Gi-Oh! Plays, I stumbled across the next deck just below this one, which is the Evil Twin variant. And it's the deck type that I'm going to be showcasing today. My main reason being is that I stopped playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Around the time before stuff like Link Summoning, Synchro, and Xyz was introduced. And the reason why I ended up falling into this archetype, for other reasons I'll go to in a bit, is because mainly it was a pretty easy showcasing of how Link Summoning works, and I think because it was kind of a new system for me, I ended up just getting really interested into it. But, with that said, I'll be showing off some competitive matches today, and the deck list I'll be using as well. You can use the timestamps down below to skip to those parts if you're interested, but for now, let's move on to the deck list. So here we are with the pure Livetwin deck. This isn't the one that I'll be showing in the duels later on, but it's the original deck that I started with, and so I wanted to just give it a bit of a showcase. One thing veteran players will see is that it's missing quite a few cards that you would normally have in a competitive list, and my reason being is, again, very new to the game, I don't necessarily have the UR required to craft some of those cards. The best example I can give at the moment is Call by the Grave. I've only got one copy at the moment. So I also wanted to show off this deck just to explain how the Livetwin side kind of works, because then I can better explain the other half of my actual competitive deck when we move over to there. So with Livetwins, essentially what you want to do is you want to summon either Kisakil or Layla to the field, and then they will summon their counterpart. Then what you do is essentially you tribute them both to either bring out their Evil Twin counterparts. So Evil Twin Kisakil or Evil Twin Layla. And then you take both of those and you bring out their boss monster, Trouble Sunny. Now the archetype for this sort of deck, and one of the reasons why I think I unconsciously ended up picking it, is that essentially these two, from what I gathered, are essentially Phantom Thieves by night, but by day are VTubers. And the irony when I finally figured that out and when, oh great, the VTuber picked the VTuber archetype. That's what I chose to focus on? Really? But now we're here. So the reason why I put this in here is because while I was missing the few final cards that I need to actually complete this deck, the one issue that I was running into personally is that I felt that the twins on their own just weren't really giving enough oomph that I needed. So having the extra 500 attack onto both of them while this card was on the field was a nice touch, which then led me into actually creating the deck that I'll be showing today. But before we go into that, I did take this deck into competitive for a little while on my streams, and here's just a quick visual of how that went. It's just that easy. It's just that easy. But yeah, we game in here. We doing routes. We doing silly twin tuck. It's just that easy. So yeah, it went pretty good, surprisingly. But on to the actual deck that I'll be showcasing today. So, going off of this Archfiend card, I wanted to actually look into the Archfiend archetype itself, and I wanted to see if I could maybe blend Livetwin and Archfiend into one complete deck. And after looking around on Reddit, all the deck building sites, I even went into a Discord at one point, I couldn't find any actual deck lists that had both Archfiend and Livetwins mixed together, apart from one. However, the only two cards that were in the deck were Archfiend Emperor, and I believe... Okay, there you are. And then the second one was Nightmare Corruptor Ibli? I believe that's how it's said. So it was 2 copies of this, and then 3 copies of the Emperor. Now, I have tried running this card in this deck, and it works to an extent, but at the same time, it does kind of lead into some turns where I draw it and it just kind of stays in the hand and doesn't really do anything. But if anyone can kind of give me some pointers on that, maybe it is actually much better for this deck than I can at least see. But let me just take some time in explaining what this deck is. So, the main point of this deck is to just keep sending things to the graveyard and then bringing them back out. So the way that this is done is that many of the Archfiend cards essentially have a graveyard effect where if they are sent to the graveyard, they can either add a Archfiend to the hand, send any Fiend card to the graveyard, or in some cases, I believe, Diabolica can either special summon themselves to the field if a Fiend is sent to the graveyard, or if this card is sent to the graveyard, you can add one Fiend card that's already in your grave card back to your hand, which again is really good for kind of recycling cards in and out of the graveyard. Essentially the graveyard ends up working as like almost a second hand. And then you've got cards like opening of the Spirit Gates to bring out Beckoning Beasts, which can then be used to essentially start Link summoning, which this deck wants to constantly do, thanks to Master King Archfiend, whose effect is anytime a Fiend is sent to the graveyard, you can roll a dice, and then either, depending on the roll, if it lands on a 1, the Fiend is added to your hand, unless it's in the extra deck, in which case it gets added back to the extra deck. 2 till 5 just adds them back to which respective deck they came from, or 6, and the big one, is that they get special summoned straight to the field. And so the main pairing here is Master King Archfiend and Trouble Sunny. So the main thing I like to do with this deck is I keep one in the graveyard so that I can use its banishment effect, which is if I banish this card and discard one Evil Twin card, most of the time it's Kisakil and Layla, then I can select one card and destroy it. However, I then keep the other one just purely in the graveyard, so that cards like Master King Archfiend, or in this case, Muckraker, can essentially keep bringing them back. And so I keep gaining access to my boss monster, which I can send back to the graveyard to bring out the twins to get their effect. So essentially it's just a deck which is ideally constantly looping itself. But with that, let's move on to the duels. And into our first duel, we will be going up against a Snake Eyes deck, which I was informed by my chat during the stream is one of the better decks in the game. So I was a little bit nervous going up against this. But I'm going to start the game going first, using Foolish Burial to send off a card into the graveyard, and then using Sunny Snitch and Secret Password to start my Livetwins combo. So this will be a good example of how this deck sort of wants to keep linking itself to and from each other. So we send out both the original twins with Frost variant for Kisakil to bring out Evil Twin Kisakil, to then go into Layla, to then bring out both. Because Kisakil was the second to be summoned, we get to draw a card, and then link them both off one final time to bring out our boss monster, Trouble Sunny. So we end the turn with a pretty basic board. We've not got too much, though we do have an interaction with Trouble Sunny. So their card effect allows us to use Kisakil Frost to draw another card by banishing it from the graveyard. And then because they try to take control of Trouble Sunny here, I use their effect to send them into the graveyard to bring back both the twins. However, they will take control of Evil Twin Layla. And I will use Effect Failure here to stop their Poplar's effect. And then also make one of the biggest misplays I made in this duel. So, I use Evil Twin Kisakil's effect to bring back just the standard Layla from the graveyard. And now they're going to link off my Evil Twin and their Poplar to bring out their boss monster. And this is the time where I'm going to pause the video. So, the mistake that I made here, which I'm sure some more veteran players would be able to recognize, is that I should have waited for them to link off my Layla first, before using Kisakil's effect to bring back any Layla card from the graveyard to the field. Because if I had waited for now, I could have brought back the Evil Twin Layla, and then have used its effect to destroy their Promethean Princess. However, I'm sure once they saw me make the misplay of bringing back just the standard Layla, they must have been ecstatic and just went, well, time to annihilate this noob player. If you're wondering what the constant 200 damage to them and 200 plus to me is, that is Sunny Snitch activating. Essentially, anytime they special summon, I gain life points, they lose life points. However, they are going to bring out a Nightmare Phoenix to destroy my spell card. And then after setting up their back row, they are going to attack both my monsters and leave my board completely barren. So going into my second turn, things aren't looking too good. We do have Dark Beckoning Beast, so we can go into our Fiend route, which is what I tend to do. However, they negate my monster's effect. Luckily though, we happen to have Livetwin home in hand, meaning that we can now special summon any Livetwin card. But from this point onwards, any linked monster we make or any special monster we try to summon has to be either a Livetwin or Evil Twin card. But now we're going to do the combo I should have made last turn, bringing out pink first and then special summoning blue to destroy the Promethean Princess. And then going into our boss monster, Trouble Sunny. What I didn't know at the time is that Promethean Princess had a graveyard effect. And as it was targeting Trouble Sunny, I'm going to use their effect once more to send them to the graveyard and bring out both the twins. However, because both effects have been used, my mistake, because only Evil Twin Layla's effect has been used this turn, I cannot use it again. I do use Trouble Sunny to banish itself, plus removing one Evil Twin card that I have control of, in order to send Promethean Princess to the graveyard. So my board's still not looking too great. I do have the plus side of that this turn at any point I can special summon Evil Twin Layla back to the field and potentially destroy something. But first I'm going to use Ash Blossom to negate their Snake Eye card's effect. They're going to single link it into a Link Karibo. And then they're going to surrender. So I'm not 100% sure why they surrendered here. Granted, I guess I did have two cards in the hand that could have been anything. I also still had the potential to bring out Layla to the field and destroy something. But it's a shame that they surrendered here. It was a pretty fun duel. I would say it's kind of even, and I would have been interested to see how it would have gone if it continued. But anyway, on to the next one. Right, so on to duel number 2, and it will become pretty obvious if you can't tell by their companion over there. We are dueling a Blue Eyes deck. And I have selected to go first, and I am currently holding a Livetwin card. So I think you can make your guesses on what particular route we're going again. So, same pattern as you've seen before. The twins bring out each other, which then allow me to link into their Phantom Thief counterparts. However, because we're sending pink out as our secondary option, we get to draw a card. I send out Rocket Caliber here because... So I link into Muckrucker here, and I bring out Caliber just so I can have some extra material. And you're going to start seeing the actual Fiend side of this deck pop off as one gets sent to the graveyard, brings one back out to the hand. Now I have Kisa Kill here to bring back out Layla, destroy what they just put face down. It does proc its graveyard effect to bring out a Blue Eyes though. However, they do destroy my trap card unfortunately. I do now have the material to create a Trouble Sunny, which will give me enough power to get through their Blue Eyes. But first I choose to link both of these off into Master King Archfiend. So now anytime a Fiend monster is sent to the graveyard, I can roll a dice and potentially either bring it to the field or send it back into the deck. The twins are just going to keep each other coming to and from the field as well. And now this is where the long chain starts to begin. So I'll pause it here. So what just happened, if a Fiend monster, except for Diabolica, is sent to the graveyard, during any stage apart from the damage step, you can special summon this card from the graveyard, which is the first effect that happened. The second effect that's going to happen is that because a Fiend monster was sent to the graveyard, Master King is going to attempt to roll a dice and either, as I've said before, bring them to my hand, the deck, or the field. And then finally, because Evil Twin Layla was summoned to the field while Kisakil was on the field, they are going to destroy one target, and in this case that is their blue eyes. So unfortunately we land with the 4, so our Archfiend Emperor goes back into the deck. But at this point we have enough bodies on the field that I'm not even going to bring out Trouble Sunny, and instead just go directly for game. And that's duel number 2. On to our final duel for today's video. We will be going first once more, and we will be going up against a ninja deck. As you can clearly see from my hand, we have got a lot of options for once again going into the Livetwins. So I'll start off with Secret Password, just to see if they had any hand traps. They do throw out the Maxi, however I am going to interrupt that with the Ash Blossom. Just because the one thing with my deck is that it involves a lot of special summoning. So having them gain a lot of card draw from Maxi is not ideal. So I will Sunny Snitch into Leelalai Treat, just because I can special summon it later on if I have any Kisakil card on the field. But now it's the play that you've seen time and time before. I'm going to just constantly switch between all the different twins just to set each other up so that we can go into our Trouble Sunny. We do gain the Imperm from Kisakil's draw, which is very good, so I place it face down, and we send out our boss monster to then end our turn. So here I got very confused. I thought I somehow activated Trouble Sunny's effect, but it turns out I didn't. They just managed to clear it off the board with the effect of their Kaiju. So I use that turn to Imperm their effect monster. They retort that by placing 2 cards face down and passing. I'm going to use my second Secret Password just to again possibly bait out any potential reactions. After I see that there's nothing, I'm going to send out one twin, special summon the other, and then break out, I believe, Muckracker? To then use its effect to discard 1 card to bring out both twins. So it's at this point that I thought I made a misplay by sending off the Max C, just because we're both very low on card draw at the moment. So if I had held onto it, there is the possibility that I would have gained more cards later on in the duel that we will see. But it's a hindsight thing. Here I think I was making the right play, just because I wanted to get to a point that I could special summon Magnum Hut, and then potentially use it and the Kaiju as material in order to summon something else. But we'll keep the duel going, and I can explain all of this later on as to why I think this might have been a bit of a misplay. So they are going to chain both a magic and a trap card here, which will in turn basically fill up their board with 3 monsters, 2 of which cannot be destroyed the turn that they are summoned. Which is something that I learned the hard way. So because the only thing I could target at the time was the Book of Moon, I targeted it with Layla's effect, removed it, and then my Kaiju came back up to attack. We got rid of the monster, however, we get flipped again, meaning that I can't use it for material. So instead I sack off Trouble Sunny, bring back out the other 2 evil twins, get the card draw. So here I choose to link them instead into Unchained Abomination. And I want to just quickly check. Yeah, so one of the main reasons is that I currently have both my Trouble Sunnies in the graveyard, so I couldn't really link into either of them if I wanted to. I could maybe have gone into... I could have maybe have gone into Soul Sweeper to then potentially bring out Zeus later on, but... yeah, I could have maybe have also gone into Elf, but yeah. I choose to banish one of my Trouble Sunnies to remove their trap card, and then Abomination's ability procs, however, because these cards can't be destroyed on the turn that they're summoned, nothing's going to happen. They attempt a graveyard effect, but I stop it with Ghost Spell. And so I pass turns over. So once again, they're going to try and fill up their back row a bit, and essentially send out this monster to get rid of one of mine, which is a shame, because again, now that that card's gone, I cannot use its effect to bring out the twins. I am going to attempt a special summon here, however they do get the reaction from it. Which does allow them to start fill up their board once more. I also do lose the Kaiju here, however I do get off the special summon. But once again, they're going to get the reaction so that I can't attack this turn with it. I decided to go for the face down card just because at the moment, their Grand Ninja can't be targeted by effects. So I just use Unchained Abomination to remove the back row this turn. Now they get probably the luckiest top deck they could have gotten. I'm assuming that's the card that they drawed this turn. Rendeki destroys all monsters your opponent controls, so now my board is completely defenseless. And so it's at this point that I realized that the duel's pretty much lost, but I'm having fun, so I'm interested to just kind of see what their deck can do. Again, I'm learning a whole lot of new decks. So I kind of want to see, you know, what the full potential of them are. So we go into what I believe is my final turn, as I draw a trap card, and I set both one monster and said trap card face down. However, because I don't control a fiend, I'm unable to activate it. Essentially, if I control a fiend, I can destroy one card on the field, and then send one card to the graveyard. And I wouldn't have been able to summon Archfiend Emperor here, because the only way I could do it is by activating its effect, which not only halves its attack and defense, but at the end of the turn it destroys itself as well. He's going to play it safe though and remove my trap card, and then he's going to attack me for game. But overall, a very fun duel. It's nice to kind of go against decks that I don't see very often. But yeah, that's going to do it for the free duels. We're going to move over to one final scene to end things off. So at this point I just want to discuss what my plans are for kind of Yu-Gi-Oh! Moving forwards. I don't know if it's going to be something that shows up on the channel more. It kind of depends. Like I said, it's kind of just a rabbit hole I've fallen back into. Whether or not I keep playing though, I think depends on kind of how frequently I get to build decks. But at this point in the video, I do want to just say, if you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. Let me know below if you've enjoyed and if you want me to make more. And if you have any hints, if you have any tips or just any advice on how to essentially improve my decks, I would be more than happy to hear. But until next time everyone, thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the show.